Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I wanted to talk about the oscillation between the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimension. This is something that I think many of us are experiencing right now because we're all going through this ascension process together. And we're all at different stages and different phases of this ascension process. But what I'm observing and I'm noticing for myself is that there's definitely this oscillation between the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, the third dimension has a certain energy signature. The fourth and the fifth also have their own independent energy signatures. In the third dimension, it is very, very much fear-based. So everything is around fear. Everything comes from or is acted upon out of fear. So it's people pleasing. It's doing things that you don't want to do, saying yes when you mean no. It's really feeling fear about a lot of different things, about like finances, about your life, about your romantic life, about your work, about your family, worry, doubt, self-doubt, lack of self-love. All of that is third dimensional energy. There's a density to it, and that density is felt because you don't feel good in third dimension. And so as I'm sure most of you have noticed that when you are in those lower vibrations, when you are feeling those kinds of ways, you are not feeling good. You're not in a good place. You don't feel happy. You don't feel successful. You don't feel like you've got your things together. You don't feel like you're in a powerful place within yourself. Now, that's third dimension. When we move to fourth dimension is all about discovery and learning. So in the fourth dimension, you are now recognizing that something is not quite right, that you're not happy living the way that you've been living, that you're not happy people pleasing, that you're not happy not taking care of yourself. And you are now inclined to discover, to search, to learn. And you have this insatiable desire to really seek out knowledge, seek out different things that are going to help elevate you. It's like, how can I do something differently? Because I need to do something differently. That's kind of the feeling when you're in fourth dimension and when you are rising up into fourth dimension. And just a side note here, each of the dimensions have like a beginning and an end phase. So the beginning of third dimension is like extreme density, is like really, really fear-based, very, very much in absolute lack and poverty consciousness, right? But the higher end of third dimension is when you're closer to that fourth dimension, is you start to recognize that you are in a certain state and it doesn't feel good. And the recognition of it not feeling good is the indication that you're now moving closer to fourth dimension. Once you actually enter fourth dimension, you start to feel, like I said, this insatiable desire to like, okay, what else? What else is out there? What else can I learn? How can I improve my life? And you start to recognize that the beginning end of fourth dimension is when you're really recognizing that something needs to change. That is your indication that you are now in the beginning stages of fourth dimension. So as you notice that within yourself, that you have this desire to change something, you know something needs to change because things don't feel right in your life. You're no longer happy by certain things that used to make you happy. You're no longer satisfied with a certain lifestyle or with a certain way of taking care of yourself, and you now have this desire to do better and just to start looking at your routine, to start looking at your self-care and your self-love, right? You start to get annoyed by this whole people pleasing thing, and you start to have this desire to not do it so much anymore. And you'll probably still do it in the beginning stages of fourth dimension, but you're just going to start recognizing that it doesn't feel good to do it. It's going to start to feel heavier and heavier and heavier. And as you move up in the fourth dimension and you start moving closer to that fifth dimension, that people pleasing starts to really kind of peel away. You really start to notice that it just doesn't feel good at all. You start recognizing that it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve the person that you're trying to please all the time. It doesn't serve you particularly to be always like giving to others and giving in a way that is not in balance with you or that's not in alignment with you. So there's this like phase, it's this transitionary phase that we're moving through collectively, and we're all at different stages, right? So as we start to shift into the fifth dimension, which I notice myself. I'll talk about oscillation in a minute. But as you move into fifth dimension, in the fifth dimension, that is where you experience unconditional love. You start to really, really see everything from this higher perspective. You start to understand that everything in life is truly um, about learning, about ascending, and the entire purpose of life is ascension, is about growth, is about you moving up into that higher state of being where you truly can feel unconditional love for everyone, no matter what level they're at. You're able to really see that, the people that are in those lower states of energy that are still very much in the fear paradigm and in that program, you really start to have compassion for them. You really start to see them from a different perspective. You don't get triggered by their 3D beingness. You're not getting pulled or sucked into any of that whole people pleasing situation. So it's like you just naturally will choose to not do that anymore. You recognize how it doesn't serve. And you just have this level of self love in 5D that is absolutely unconditional. Like you really start to see yourself as someone who is just moving through a journey, who is going to make mistakes, but you have compassion for those mistakes. You don't, you don't go hard on yourself because you're making mistakes. You just simply have a really higher perspective, a completely different view of yourself. And also in 5D, what I recognize is that you're going to be just naturally gravitating towards healthier foods. You're going to recognize a lot of different things are not aligning with you anymore. They don't taste good. They don't feel good. You're going to shed people from your life, lots and lots of people, lots of different situations, even that you feel are not in alignment with you, is just going to naturally fall away as well. So there's just this continuous um, desire to be in peace and in harmony in 5D. And you will make choices that will continuously keep you in that harmonious and peaceful state. So when you recognize that you have reached a state within yourself where you are prioritizing peace, where you are prioritizing self love, where you are prioritizing your own needs and everything and anything that really helps you to elevate further, that's when you know that you're really truly in 5D. You no longer care about what people think. You no longer care about how people act or what people do or how they show up or what level they're at. You just recognize where they're at. You'll see it very, very clearly. You're going to recognize if they're in 3D, fear-based programming still in their ego, because 3D is also very, very, very much about ego. So the ego death occurs as you move through the stages. And in 5D, there is no ego. You just really recognize that everything is all about love, that all of life is about love. The other thing with 3D is separation. So people that are in 3D energy are very much still into the whole isolation separation dynamic. They feel separate from other people. They desire perhaps to be separate from other people. Once you move through 4D, 5D, you're going to have that sort of fall away. And it's not to say that you will not separate yourself. You will, but you're going to now separate yourself as a means of self-love, as, you know what, I just need this afternoon to completely be alone, or I just need this week or this day or whatever to be alone, to be with myself. I really want to focus on, gathering my attention and really putting it into, healthy projects, healthy things that are going to truly further my life. In 5D, there is no fear around money, around finances. There's just absolute and complete trust because you just know that everything is always working out for you. And regardless of whatever the financial situation is that you're in, even in 5D, because just because you're in 5D, spiritually, energetically, doesn't necessarily mean that you're like super rich. But what happens is that you're actually now taking all of the right steps in 5D to make that happen for yourself. And it's just a matter of time before you actually fully get into that full financial abundance. Because again, shedding that 3D ego mind and shedding the whole poverty consciousness and lack mentality and victim mentality and all of those heavy energies that really keep us stuck, is a process. and it's a gradual process. And what I'm recognizing in my own ascension is that I have been gradually coming out of that. So it's like I've been slowly on the uptick, moving towards that 5D. Now, I want to talk about oscillation for a moment. So something I've recognized within myself, and I saw this actually play out beautifully this weekend. It was very, very clear that we have a tendency, as you move through this process, it is kind of messy, and it is definitely just kind of weird and wonky, it's not like this perfect upstream, movement. It's going to come in sort of oscillations like a pendulum. So one day you're going to be in 3D, and then the next day you're in 4D, and then the next day you're in 5D, and then the next day you're back to 3D or back to 4D. So it's like you're going to oscillate between moments, right? Moments in time, right? I've mentioned that in previous videos. Everything is about a moment in time. So in this moment of time, I might be feeling like I'm in 5D, and perhaps something happens or whatever, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm right back in 3D. That was an experience that I had this weekend. I definitely I was around a lot of people. I was with some family. We were celebrating someone's birthday, and I noticed myself like really drop back into 3D. I got triggered. I got pissed about something, and it was just, it pulled me right back into 3D. And I was just, there was no compassion, there was no love. I just didn't feel, anything for an individual, and I was really frustrated. And I didn't recognize it until sort of after. So I settled down, but I noticed that because I was around certain people that are still very much in 3D consciousness, who are also oscillating between 3, 4, and 5, but still are more in 3D, that was definitely influencing me. So I just wanted to share this because I want you guys to notice that when you're hanging out with certain people, how are you doing? How are you energetically? Are you feeling like you're getting sucked back into like those old ways and fear-based and judging and all of that? Or are you feeling really, really good? And are you feeling strong, and you're feeling like you're holding your own, and you're really able to maintain that high vibrational, unconditional love and compassion and understanding for yourself and for others? So because you will oscillate, and that is normal. And I want to reassure you that oscillation isn't something that you should be judging, because like I said, it's not like a clean cut, like, oh, I just moved out of 3D, and oh, now I'm in 4D, and then now I'm in 5D. Like, it's not a clean cut. It is definitely a process, and it's kind of like this, and some days will be like this, and sometimes you'll really hit like low valleys. So all of it is okay. All of it is okay. And we have a new moon that is coming up in a couple of days. And this new moon is definitely going to also be kind of giving us sort of this fresh start. So if you're already feeling like you're oscillating, but you're definitely more in 4D, 5D consciousness, so there's that curiosity, that sense of learning, that desire to improve your life, that desire to do better for yourself, and then moving into also feeling really good about yourself and loving yourself, and just wanting to have this amazing routine on a daily basis, where you're really truly in 5D and you're unconditionally loving yourself. When you're in those stages, just know that you're going to keep elevating towards that. You're going to keep growing towards that, but there will be days that you fall back, and that's okay. And the new moon is going to help us actually to become reborn in that new energy, to really have sort of a fresh start and a new beginning. And I think a lot of people right now are actually feeling the energy of that, of this desire to start anew, a desire to start fresh, and to really make some big changes in their lives. It's definitely something I'm feeling. I have this incredible push and this incredible desire to complete some projects, to really love myself, to be extremely focused, to revamp my daily routines and everything that I'm doing. And I have been gradually doing that. I'm also trying to be easier on myself throughout the process. So I'm definitely noticing more compassion and more understanding for my process and for my journey. And I'm just being less and less hard on myself. So with the new moon, if you're already feeling that you're oscillating, set some intentions during this new moon that's coming up and allow yourself to really feel good about where you are right now and allow yourself to really recognize where you are right now. So pay attention to that. Now that you kind of have an understanding of 3D, 4D, 5D, where are you, and where are you oscillating between most? Pay attention to that. I was thinking about that for myself. And I do find myself to be mostly actually in 45D. But this weekend on Saturday, for example, I dipped back to 3D for sure. I went back into fully judging people and stuff like that. And whatever, that's okay. It's more about the recognition that you do it and much less about judging it. And even the fact that I've recognized it and didn't judge it tells me that I'm in 45D. So it's all good. It's all good. Stay patient with yourself, stay patient with the process, and just keep working towards that true unconditional love for yourself, for others, that compassion, that understanding that we're all moving through this together and we're all at different stages, and that's okay. Some of us are going to be extremely unconscious still at this point, and some people are going to be very, very conscious. So all of it is okay. Don't judge it. Don't dismiss it. Stay very aware. The more aware you become of where you are, the more you're going to be able to put yourself with intention and with your personal power back into 4D and 5D. And it's just going to make your journey that much easier. So that's it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hit a like on your way out. Do subscribe to the channel, help this channel grow so that we can really get these messages out to as many people as possible. I wish you guys nothing but love and joy on the journey. And remember that unconditional love is what actually feels the best. So keep working towards that for yourself, first and foremost, and then towards others as well. Thank you for watching. Take care, bye.